Hello, my name is Seth Preus. I live in Gilbert, Arizona, and I am the founder of Myvation, a company that makes productivity and gamification tools. How many times have you said to yourself, I need to get motivated? I mean, what do we even mean by that question, get motivated? This is something I think about a lot because it's my job. Tens of thousands of people rely upon software that I created to stay motivated at work. And for this reason, I'm often asked to give presentations about motivation. And following those presentations, I'm humbled by the kind comments of participants who tell me that I completely transformed their perspective on motivation. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, good for you, and so what? Well, this is why my story is significant. Because according to the conventional wisdom regarding motivational thinking, my success shouldn't be possible for me. You're probably familiar with this wisdom, that positive thinking is the foundation for success. From Napoleon Hill to Anthony Robbins, we hear think positive thoughts and positive things will happen. Or as Lou Holtz summed it up, things have a way of working themselves out if we just remain positive. It's like some kind of pseudo mystical, psychological fake it till you make it strategy. And I've always railed against this idea that blind optimism is the foundation of success. And honestly, some of that's probably due to the fact that I'm not a natural optimist. In fact, I earned the nickname Partly Cloudy when I was in college because of my less than sunny observations from time to time. I'm more of a confident realist. Is the glass half full or half empty? I don't know, but I do know it's evaporating, and if we talk about it long enough, it'll eventually be completely empty. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Really? Or is it just taking its time? But I have a far more significant problem than just a lack of optimism combined with some snarky cynicism. I have a monster that lives inside my head, a dragon that does its best to crush my spirit. That dragon is depression. I am the unfortunate descendant in a long line of mental illness that runs back for generations. I have two members of my family that have bipolar disorder. I have another that has schizophrenia. That's just my immediate family. Through the generations, we've had more of suicides, attempted suicides, police visits, trips to mental hospitals than any family should have to endure. I myself was diagnosed with clinical depression in my 20s. I sought help after completing an online survey that implored me to call 911. I was suicidal and I was numb. It's very difficult to describe true depression to anyone who hasn't experienced it. It's not as if I was so sad I couldn't bear to live. It was almost a rational decision of maybe it would be better if I simply weren't alive. All I'd have to do is one swerve into that telephone call. I face a significant physical impediment. And yes, I use the word physical intentionally. The brain is a part of the body. I have a chemical imbalance. I can't simply make myself happy. And yet, my entire life, that's exactly what I've been told I need to do. I've heard speaker after speaker saying that I have to just control my feelings and my thoughts. If you believe, you can achieve. Your attitude determines your altitude. Just think the right thoughts and the right results will happen. Well, positive thinking Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. Okay, the dragon sees to that. And yet somehow I have continuously managed to get ahead in my career, even to the point of giving motivational speeches to a lot of people who are probably better positive thinkers than I am. So how is it possible that a partly cloudy person like me can continue to get ahead? I can tell you why. It's because long ago, I discovered a deeper truth about motivation. What I realized was that the key to my motivation wasn't here in my head. It's here in my hands. Motivation isn't simply a state of mind. It's a state of action. It's not just emotion, it's motion. Fundamentally, motivation is a relationship between what we want and what we're willing to do to get what we want. Or as I summarize it, motivation is wanting in motion. But there's a couple of different types of motivation. So let's talk about those. You have extrinsic motivators. These are the things that come from outside you, from other people. They're things like money, fame, recognition. And then you have intrinsic motivators. These are the things that live inside you naturally. And then they're inside all of us, even partly cloudy people. Extrinsic motivators are what you want to have. Intrinsic motivators are who you want to be. So let me tell you a story to illustrate the difference. But first, can we all please agree to be adults here and recognize that we all probably did something stupid when we were 16? Okay, thank you. Well, when I was 16, my best friend Jerome and I, excuse me, were messing around behind our high school. And for reasons that are still unclear to me to this day, we had in our possession a bag full of live goldfish. So it didn't take long before Jerome said to me, "I dare you to swallow one of those fish." Well, that seemed like a patently stupid idea to me, so I declined. But then he said, "If you do, I'll let you use my brand new Yamaha scooter for a month while I'm in Germany." Okay. As a kid without a car, that was an attractive proposition. So I swallowed a fish. I did not want to swallow a fish, but I wanted to ride the scooter. That's a pretty good example of an extrinsic motivation. You do something so that you could get something. Now, Jerome is wired a little bit differently than me. He was envious that I had done something so outrageous. So he asked me, "What will you give me if I swallow a fish?" "Nothing, Jerome. I don't care if you swallow a fish." Well, he wasn't going to have that. He's the one who's supposed to be daring. I'm supposed to be the nerd. So he did the only thing that he could do. He swallowed one too. Jerome wanted to swallow the fish because he wanted to be the kind of person who would do such a thing. That's how intrinsic motivations are different. The motivation is the same as the action. So let me show you how this works. People intrinsically want to be trusted. But how do you gain somebody's trust? Well, you gain somebody's trust by doing what you say you're going to do. You follow through, you show up on time, return phone calls, you tell the truth. You do these things. It's called accountability, and accountability is 100% within our control. The more accountable that you are, the more people trust you. And it feels good to be trusted. So much so that you're going to want more of it. But here's the thing. You can't do what you say you're going to do until you actually do it. The action is the motivation. So I have the same intrinsic motivators as anyone else. If I commit to drinking the aforementioned glass of water, I'm going to drink it because I want to be trusted to follow through on the commitments that I've made. It doesn't matter if I think that the glass is half full or half empty, because once I drink it, I'm going to get satisfaction from being accountable. When I'm in the depths of depression, even the simplest things seem impossible. So things that you wouldn't even be able to comprehend are difficult. It's very, very hard to explain if you haven't lived through it. Something as simple as me putting my dirty clothes into the hamper will feed my desire for accountability, believe it or not. But the important thing is something that simple has now set me in motion. And it makes it just a little bit easier for me to move on to more difficult tasks. It builds. And life is like that. Meeting small commitments feeds your motivation for accountability. It has set you in motion and makes you more likely to take the steps necessary to meet bigger commitments. By the way, I need to point this out. According to my wife, on the hamper and next to the hamper are not viable alternatives. It must go in the hamper. So another intrinsic motivation is called mastery. Mastery is the desire to be great at something that you care about. But how does somebody get to be great at something? Well, by practicing, by learning. Mastery is the gradual accumulation of practice and knowledge. And the thing about it is once you get even a little bit, it makes you feel so good you want more. And it's like self-propelling. You can never get enough of it. And once again, as you are getting more and more mastery, you are more and more willing to take the steps necessary to get it because you want so much of it. If you don't believe me that this can never be satisfied, just think about your favorite athlete. Have you ever heard them say, "You know what, I think at this point I'm good enough. I'm not going to be able to get any better"? No, of course not. They always want to do better. Now, in my case, this meant that I practiced sales techniques. I learned software. I researched motivation, practiced, learned, researched. These are all actions that I took because I wanted to be great at these things. The actions and the motivations are the same thing. Now, do you know what happens when you've mastered some skills and people trust you? You start to get opportunities where you get to call the shots. This is called autonomy. It's the ability to self-direct. Autonomy is really where the magic happens because you are able to focus your efforts and your creativity on what interests you. You get to choose your actions, the freedom to act. Once again, there it is, action. In my life, what this meant is that autonomy gave me the ability to start 2 different businesses. And within those businesses, I was able to focus on those things that interested me the most. The result of that was that my sense of accountability went up dramatically because I wasn't just doing what I said I was going to do. I was doing what I said I was going to do because I'm the one who decided that I should do it. Also, as my autonomy increased, I had more choice in which skills I would master. As my skills increased, so did my contribution to others. And I became more and more important to more and more people and got more and more opportunities. But the greatest thing about autonomy is that you become the author of your own impact, and it gives you a far more intimate understanding of perhaps the greatest of all intrinsic motivations, purpose. Purpose is the desire to be a part of something that's bigger than just you, something that truly matters. Purpose is about your contributions towards that bigger vision. But there's another word for purpose, use. If you want to have purpose, you first need to be useful. So how can one be useful? Well, by demonstrating accountability, by mastering skills, then by using those skills to contribute to others. So you have to understand your purpose isn't here riding the coattails of your good intentions. And it's not here wrapped up in heartfelt emotion. It's here in the actions that you take to positively impact the lives of other people. Even a motivation as personal and emotional as purpose is really about what you do rather than how you feel. Now, this was a revelation for me because it freed me of the tyranny of that dragon in my head that often succeeds in crushing my spirit, because I realized that while I can't always control how I feel, I can control what I do. And in doing so, I feel better. So maybe you don't have a dragon in your head that you need to continuously slay, but I know that monsters come in all shapes and sizes. Maybe it's a lack of confidence, a fear of failure, broken relationships, even childhood trauma. The list is endless. But know this, when that monster attacks your head, your thoughts and your emotions, you can fight back with your hands through your actions. Now, I hope you now understand the incredibly empowering truth that motivation is a state of action, not a state of mind. That motivation is wanting in motion. So the next time you're struggling to get motivated, don't get discouraged. Get moving. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope I've at least influenced your perceptions about motivation. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts, learn more about me, or read some of the articles that I've written about motivation, you can see my information on the thank you slide here. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.